we went on ahead to the ship and sailed for Assos, where we were going to take Paul aboard. He had made this arrangement because he was going there on foot. When he met us at Assos, we took him aboard and went on to Mileton. The next day we set sail from there and arrived at Chios. The day after that, we crossed over to Samos, and on the following day arrived at Miletus. Paul had decided to sail past Ephesus to avoid spending time in the province of Asia, but he was in a hurry to reach Jerusalem, if possible, by the end of Pentecost. So we're just going to end that short pericope of Scripture. A while ago, I had the opportunity to visit with an elderly woman. She was not a member of this church, but she was a churchgoer in another congregation. And as we were sitting there visiting, I don't know how it came up, but she just started to talk a little bit about her life. And after listening to her share a little bit with me about her life, I asked her, I said, would you say you had a good life? And she paused for a long time. There was this kind of awkward silence. And then she very, very curtly said, it was okay. Well, I was hoping she would have said something more than it was okay. And so I looked at her and I said, well, what would have made your life better? And she said, well, you know, Pastor, she said, I had the opportunity to get married twice. And I turned down both proposals. I regret that, she said. Because I've never married. And she said, you know, I've had opportunities to have close friends, but I'm just kind of a private person, and so I feel uncomfortable in making close relationships with people, and so I've gone through my whole life with really no friends, acquaintances, but no real friends. She said, you know, I regret that. And I looked at her and I said, well, did you have a chance to travel a little bit, to get out and about? And she said, you're not going to believe this, Pastor Mike, but I have never been out of the county. I said, you got to be kidding me. You've been out of the... No, she said, I have never been out of the county. I've had opportunities to travel. Don't get me wrong, she said. And I had the money where I could travel. But when I was invited to go on some of these bus trips, plane trips, I said no. So I said, wow, you kind of led a very different life. And I was trying to be polite. And she said, well, you're right. I have led a different life. And now that I'm kind of coming to the end of my life. I mean, she wasn't dying, but she, you know, was definitely up there in her 80s. And she said, I look back over my life and I made a lot of poor choices. And there was really little that I could say at that point. Because from my perspective, she had made a lot of poor choices. And now there was this cloud of regret kind of hanging over her head as she was looking back over her 80-plus years of life and realizing that she missed a lot. But you know something? There are a lot of people, I think, just like this woman, who go through life, but who really don't taste the fullness of life. They go through life like this woman, but they say no to all kinds of opportunities that really could have expanded their life, that really could have enriched their life, that really could have made a major difference in their life. But for one reason or another, reasons only they know, they say no to those experiences. And when I encounter people like that, I feel it's bad, because I believe that one of the reasons why God has given us life is so that we can enjoy the fullness of life. I don't think God placed us in this world just to kind of exist. And from previous sermons in this sermon series, you know that I don't believe that God placed us in this world so that we can just be takers. I think God has given us a number of reasons why we're here. And we've talked about some of those reasons in the past. But today, I think another reason why God has given us life is to enjoy the fullness of life. Now, I recognize that how you and I define fullness might differ. What you see being a full life might not be what I see being a full life. But let me share with you 4 things that I think can bring a fullness to life in general, and certainly have brought a fullness to my life. Because again, I think God wants us to enjoy life. I think God wants us to be able to look back over our life and say, I think it was good. Building genuine relationships with other people, I think, is one of the ways you and I can begin to taste some of the fullness of life. I know that's certainly been true in my life. Over the course of my ministry, my life, I've tried to build some really good, genuine relationships with other people. And I know that my life has been enriched by them. Oddly enough, when I began my ministry many years ago, a senior pastor pulled me aside as I was a young buck pastor, and he said, now, when you go to your first congregation to serve that congregation, don't get close to it. Be aloof. Because you see, if you get close to your people, if you start building relationships with your people and start being their friend, then you lose your ability to be their pastor. Well, I heard what you said. And I sensed that there was some truth to that. And there is a little bit of truth to that. But I decided early on that I wasn't going to be an aloof kind of pastor. Thank you. I decided early on I was going to make friends within the congregation. And yes, when you become friends with some of the folk in the church, you do lose a little bit of your ability to be their pastor. But I didn't want to be a lonely, aloof pastor. And so I made that decision that I would make friends. And that's what I have done. And that those friendships have brought a fullness to me that I can't begin to explain to you. Genuine relationships brings a fullness to life. Friday night, Bonnie and I got in the car. Actually, Friday afternoon, we got in the car, and we headed north to Chippewa Falls. We went to Chippewa Falls because a young man in my former congregation wanted me to officiate at his wedding, his very first wedding, hopefully his last wedding. And so we went up north to officiate at that wedding. Ironically, it is Dan and Brenda Whipp's oldest son, Brendan. And Jeannie alluded to the Whips in the worship service announcements. But Dan and Brenda and their entire family were members of my Hudson church. Became good friends for us. And as Jeannie said, Dan and Brenda have been on some of the mission trips with us. And their daughter, Brooke, who we're praying for, was on one of our mission trips. So we went up to Chippewa Falls, to take part in that particular wedding. But Saturday morning came, and there's nothing to do Saturday morning. The wedding party, they're all doing what they need to do. And for Bonnie and me, it was a lot of dead time there. But it wasn't dead time because I called up some old friends in Blooming. I was a pastor. That's where I began my ministry. And I hadn't really had any contact with them for 20 plus years. So I called them up, and we met, and it was like I hadn't left. You know that feeling? With good friends, you just kind of, maybe the gap has come for a period of time, but you just kind of pick right up. And that's the way it was. It was a wonderful time. And they're all excited that we're moving north now because we're going to only be about an hour away from them. And so they want to come up. And so relationships. So important. It's one way we taste the fullness of life. And that's what the writer of Proverbs was trying to get across in the one proverb that Jeannie read for us about a friend. You have a friend. You have someone who loves you for life and who becomes your brother in times of adversity. Friendships. Developing good, genuine friendships enriches, brings a fullness to life. Traveling also brings a fullness to life. And that woman who stayed only in the county, it's just hard to believe, just lost out on so many opportunities that would have enriched her life if she had traveled to Milwaukee or if she had traveled to the Northwoods. You didn't have to get out of the state. Those of you traveling know what I'm talking about. Traveling brings a joy, a fullness, a richness to life. You see sights, mountains, valleys, and plains, and deserts, and deep blue oceans. You taste other cultures. You taste different kinds of foods. You see different colored skinned people. This enriches our life, I believe. And one of the things that I shared with you in our lesson from Acts, and I hope you caught, was that Paul was a prolific traveler. I mean, in the short passage of scripture there, Paul was here, and he was there, and he was over there, and he was going there, and he was heading over there. This guy does travel. And I submit to you that those travels had an impact in his ministry in a variety of ways. It opened up for Paul this sense of diversity and deeper appreciation for God's world. It helped formulate Paul's vision that the church needed to go beyond just those who had a Jewish background. It needed to go to the Greeks and the Gentiles and the Romans and the people living in Ephesus and Miletus. It gave Paul an understanding of the world that he would never have had if he had not traveled. And traveling does that for us as well. Some of you I know have traveled extensively, and I am extremely happy for you because of that. And others of you hopefully will travel in the future, if you have not. At least get out of the county. I think you've all gotten out of the county. Amen?
Yes.
Okay, good. We're good there. But traveling brings a fullness and richness to life. Paul experienced it, and if you travel, you can experience it as well. So God wants us to enjoy the fullness of life. One way to do that is by developing good, genuine relationships with people that span the course of time, that you can pick up and just carry on, even though you might not have seen each other for a year or more. We taste the fullness of life through traveling. We also taste the fullness of life, I think, when we serve. For me, many of the highlights of my church year are opportunities to serve. Opportunities to serve, to just kind of make a difference in the lives of other people. And maybe you've experienced that yourself when you have decided, I'm going to be a servant. I'm going to wash dishes for that church meal. I'm going to go on that mission trip. I'm going to go across to the park and help feed kids this summer. I'm going to do some of these service things. And as you do, boy, you just feel good. And you start learning about some of the people that you're serving, and you're knowing that you're making a difference. Service, mission, it's a way to taste fullness in life. Another way that you can sample the fullness of life is by deciding to learn. Make the decision to be a learner through your whole life. A lot of people, they really stop learning after they graduate from high school or college. And they miss out on so much because of that. But we should always, I think, be learning, be growing as we learn new things. In today's world, the opportunities to learn are so massive. If you have the internet, there's all kinds of websites you can go to where you can learn and grow through your learning. TV nowadays, there are all kinds of educational channels, like the History Channel, all kinds of educational programs like Nova. I mean, there are all kinds of opportunities to learn. Opportunities to learn here in the life of a church or in other churches. Opportunities to learn through the UW Extension. Our hospital offers opportunities to learn. They're out there, and the more we decide to learn, the more we grow, the more we enjoy a fullness to life. Again, I think God wants us to taste the fullness of life. And you probably have tasted the fullness of life and other things that I haven't even mentioned, and that's fine. Last week at Pigley, Harold the Bagger. How many of you know Harold the Bagger at Pigley? A few of you do. He had on this button. And I mentioned the button at the concert the other night, the Bracebridge Park concert. That button said, "Don't postpone the joy." Don't postpone the joy. And I saw that button and I thought, wow, that ties right into the sermon theme. Because unfortunately, there are people who do postpone the joy. They postpone really tasting the richness of life, figuring they'll do it somewhere down the line, and then all of a sudden time runs out. And they can't taste that fullness of life. So don't postpone the joy. God wants you to enjoy life. God wants you to taste the richness of life. You do that by making genuine relationships with others. You do that by traveling. You do that by serving. You do that by learning. And there are countless other ways that you can taste the fullness of life. It is one of the reasons why we are here. Next week, we're going to wrap up our sermon series looking at a sixth reason why God has created us. And if you're here next week, you'll learn about that sixth reason. Let's bow for a word of prayer. God, we thank you for our life. We thank you that we are not an accident. We thank you that you have purposely molded us and created us and placed us in the middle of this world to do things like enjoy life, like make a difference in life, like please you. You placed us in this world so that we can help care for this world. These are some of the reasons why we are here. And as we begin to embrace those reasons, then we begin to truly appreciate this wonderful life that you have given us. Go with us now as we leave this place and continue to strengthen and care for us, for we ask all of this in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen. We close our